Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, classmates. We will be tackling about the 4 basic principles of presentation design. This is by Scott Schwertke. In order for us to have a good presentation design, we have to use these principles and incorporate them. First, we have balance. Balance, we all know that it is all about equilibrium. For example, in our life, as a students, we have to have a student and life balances. If we keep putting our time too much in our school works, then we won't have enough balance or time for our life. It's also the same thing as doing presentation design. If you're doing too much about the other things, then the other things will be left out. So we'll be focused on the symmetrical and asymmetrical balance. First, we have the symmetrical balance. These are the elements on both sides of the design that are similar location and size. So that only means that in symmetrical balance, the two things that are comparing are having two the same or similar size and location. So let's say, for example, here. As you can see here, it is like an illustration of a tree. There's the center line in the middle, so both sides have equal size and the locations are also placed the same. Also here, on how many circle on the right side hand, then that's also the same in the left side hand. Here, there's one circle in above, and then there's also one down below. That's symmetrical balance. Second, we have the asymmetrical balance, which means each side of the design is different, yet is still balanced. So it may be different for you to have balance which has different designs, but in this time, asymmetrical balance is still balanced, even though they're different. So that we can figure it out, or so that we can visualize it, let's say the example here. Here's the asymmetrical balance for the tree. In the right side hand, the upper part of the branches, or the upper part of the illustration has the larger size, and in contrast, in the left side, the lower side has the bigger size. So they may have different location of the sizes, or which one is the larger size, but they both have larger size and smaller size like this here. So they're still balancing with each other. And also in this illustration here, this is also asymmetrical. Unlike here, they have this they have similar sizes of circles. Over here in asymmetrical balance, they have different sizes. There's big, there's medium, there's the tiny circle there. When you add all of them, it's still a big circle also here. So when you add those circles, it will create a huge circle. Even though they have different sizes here, they're still balanced because there's small, there's big, and there's medium. Also here, they may be placed in diagonal area or in different area. They're still balancing each other like seesaw. So did you get it, the balance? Now we can proceed with emphasis. So emphasis, from the word emphasis, you're emphasizing something to get your message across to the person you're telling to. So it is important to have an element of your design that stands out. So from the word stands out, it stands out from other variable of the image or from the presentation and grabs the attention of your audience. So the purpose of emphasis is to grab the attention or catch the attention of your audience to get the message across to them. You can do this by color, size, or placement of the object, or to increase the focus on a certain part. So, for example, if you're doing your presentation in the classroom, you always highlight things to emphasize the important topic or the important message. It's also the same thing in presentation design. So you can use color, like the example here. You can use the white color to stand out from the black figures in this area. And then over here, in this image, it's all orange. But because of the black color, it's emphasizing another image. Over here, what can you see from the image? You can see two images, right? You can see a gun, and you can also see a face of a man in the orange side. Over in the black side is a gun. So see how can you how important is emphasizing or emphasize? It can create a message to your viewers or your listeners. Also here, they use color green to emphasize unripened tomatoes from the ripened tomatoes. And also here, to emphasize the ladder or the person climbing up the ladder, it used a black color from the orange canvas. So you can imagine, or can you imagine, without this black color here, the ladder color, or I mean the ladder, then it will be all orange. You cannot emphasize anything. And then, as I said earlier, you can also use sizes to emphasize things or your important topic. For example here, to emphasize the red eye, the red big eye, it used a size and also color red. But mainly, the size of the red eye is big. Also here, you can point out that the smallest circle is emphasized. Another thing to emphasize things is the placement of the object. First, in this first illustration, we have the basket of fruits. In the basket, there is an apple, and outside the basket, there's also an apple, and I think this is a peach. Not peach, another type of fruit. Yeah. So, to emphasize that there's a different fruit from the basket, they use a different color. And they use a different type of fruit to emphasize this. And then, they also use a different placement. They did put it in the basket where the other fruits are in. The second painting, we have a lady looking at the picture. But because of how they place the woman in the picture or in the painting, it's emphasizing the head of the woman, including in the painting. So look how placement of the object can create a new meaning of a picture. So now, after we're done with emphasis, let's proceed with unity. Unity is when your design should always feel unified. From the word unity is unify, or pagkakabuo or buklod-buklod. So that all of your slides are connected together visually. So we use unity so that all your designs, all the figures that you're putting in your design can create harmony or unity in that whole picture. And your deck has a consistent look and feel. The elements on your page must relate to one another through design elements such as color, shape, texture, and so on. For example, If elements on the page feel like they were placed without purpose, then your design will feel scattered. So can you imagine a design that does not relate with each other? It will look destroyed or scattered. They won't have the same purpose in that picture. For example, you put an angel to the painting which conveys a message about evilness. It will not create a harmony or unity in that message of the picture. So, and also if you don't use unity, your audience will likely be confused about the tone of your message. Yeah, as like what I've said earlier, without using unity, your audience will be confused about the message you're trying to convey to them. You're trying to put an egg, or you're trying to put a water into the oil, rather. Yes. When you put water to the oil, it will not mix together because they're not related, or they're not compatible with each other. So that's like unity. Another tip to use unity in your presentation design is to study the color theory. So for example here, you're studying the color relations with the hands. So there may be different colors, it looks variety, or it looks varied, but their color complements with each other. There's like pastel colors and primary colors, and it looks good in the whole picture or in the big picture. And also use typography and the balance principles detailed above to ensure that all of the elements flow together to create cohesive design. Cohesive means put together, or good design. So you have to use balance. So unity is also a balance in your texture, in the color that you use, in the letters, and also with the sizes. So for example here, it used different colors, but it complements with each other, and it doesn't feel like some other principles or some other figure are standing out from each other. So they're just the same shades, they're just the same circular, and also they have the same texture, like kind of rough texture. If you have unity in presentation design, they also have unity in art. Like this art here, I can't remember who made this, but this art is popular. So in this art, you can see that the texture over here, the brush strokes are the same. So how the painter used the brush strokes are in the same motion, in the same texture, and also in the same position of the hand. Over here, there's small, there's big stars, and it shows reflection in the sea. So that's like it creating a balance. At the same time, it's creating harmony in the picture. So in my opinion, I think unity it is the most important part of the principal design, because it composed of balance, and it also composed of movement and emphasis. You kinda emphasizing a message, but not overcoming or overshadowing the other principles. So yeah. Now let's proceed with the last principles, or the fourth principles of design, which is movement. Designers often use curved lines to instill a sense of motion and to encourage the eye to move sequentially from one point to the next. So the main point of what I've said is movement using curved lines to show movement, or to show action movement in a picture that is not moving, or actually not moving. And this can be an important tool when you are trying to move an audience through a story or present a series of information on a slide. So that means that movement is usually used to present a story to guide the viewers or the listeners on the plot sequence. Tip in using movement is to try using curved line that moves through your text, from image to image or even slide to slide. Curved lines are also great for creative chart layouts. Ditch the standard chart designs for layout that utilizes curved lines to draw eyes to your various points. So like what I've said, movement is like the guide for your viewers or listeners to get the message of the picture or of the art or your presentation. Okay. Let's say for example here in the first image, there's so many lines, but particularly the curved lines is the one that giving guides for the viewers. So this one is like a path that going to another area. So that curved lines is guiding your viewer. That's the message of the image. So without those curved lines, then it will be a plain lines only. It won't show any meaning or it won't convey any message. Over here, without telling or without knowing that this picture is immovable, the viewer will already see that the image is downfalling or domino effect. So in this image, without picturing it out as moving object, it's automatically viewed as moving object because of the downfalling of the picture or of the figures. So that's how powerful the movement is. Over here in the art, even though this is only a picture or a drawing, you can see that it is a wave or a water wave because of the curved lines. There. Okay. Earlier it says there that curved lines are also great for creative chart layouts. So over here is the chart layouts. Lahat naman na tayo nakagawa na rin ng chart, di ba? So, when you're trying to know the statistics or know how much growth something is, then you're using a chart. Over here, the curved lines is showing that it is the ascending or growing chart, growing lines. Over here, in the first picture, earlier I said chart movement can use curved lines to tell a story or to present a story. In this one, in science class, they use curved lines to show stories about oxygen cycle and how we create oxygen, on how oxygen releases by the trees and absorbed by the cows as an oxygen also. So those curved lines are showing how it started and how it ended. That's all for my report, and I hope you learned something. Thank you.